Hi everybody! Welcome back to Blood Brothers! Do you know who the Blood Brothers are? It's me, Kyle, and Ryan. How's it going, Ryan? I agree. Those are words everyone understands. So here's a funny thing. You know how at the end of the last episode, like 6 weeks ago, we were like, hey, so the next time we're gonna do a boss run. Well, we did, but we lost the footage. But don't worry, you didn't miss anything. Here's what happened.
Yeah.
Ryan died at the boss, and he used all the immediately after using all the consumables. So we're worse off than we were at the end of the last episode.
Inventory wise, we have nothing. We have no health packs, nothing.
Well, we have 13 blood vials.
Molotovs that we are out of. I do not. Well, we have. Yeah, we do have 13 blood vials. So that's the only.
We don't have Molotovs, but we actually have a lot of that's a lot of bullets. That's a lot of blood vials.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because the rest of the episode was spent farming, and then there was a crucial death, and then we lost the footage. So sorry for that. Lost footage.
But don't worry, you didn't miss anything important. And I learned from the thing, so we shouldn't have that issue again in the future. But that's a funny thing about startup channels. Sometimes you have to learn you make rookie mistakes because you're a rookie.
So now we're gonna go farming again for Molotovs, and then we're gonna do a proper Cleric Beast boss run.
Yeah, and you know what, Ryan? This is gonna be the run.
I gotta get settled into the game now. Note that there may be a quick edit interruption at some point due to me needing to pick up a parcel. So,
yep.
Oops, that's not what I wanted to hit.
I'm glad to see that Ryan destroying buildings has not changed.
Whoops.
You're like, you know what? Fuck the property value on this building.
I believe we did upgrade my sword though during the time.
Oh, maybe it might have been during that, or it might have been at a different point.
Sorry,
we might have done one of those.
Threaded cane. Jeez, I got to stick to the narrative. What is this?
Oh shit! Look at those bullets. You'd have 18 if you hadn't shot that wall.
Doing cannon.
Yeah, you're right, Ryan. Your lore knowledge is garbage right now.
Yeah.
So if you want to get your shit together, that would be great. I'm just kidding.
So Kyle, I just recently beat Uncharted 4.
Yo, yeah, fuck. I haven't played that game since it came out, but I really enjoyed that game. Hell yeah, let's have a conversation about this.
So,
how'd you feel?
I don't know. Uncharted 4 is like I have a very mixed opinion of the game.
Okay. It's my favorite of the four, I should say.
A lot of it, but like I feel it's so weird, but like this is gonna be a weird analogy, but
yeah, hit me.
It reminded me of. I think it might be the strongest of the games.
Yes.
But only because it hits the highest highs. I think it also hits some of the series' lowest lows.
Interesting.
You didn't feel that?
No. So I agree with you about the highest highs. I think that it had the best story. I think that some of the gameplay mechanics were the best. And we are getting some chop. Okay.
Yeah,
I think we're good. I think we're good now.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, we were getting some like.
I'll just say that I think that Uncharted 2 probably is the most consistent of the Uncharted games from start to finish. I think Uncharted 4 was the narrative was strong, the characters were strong,
absolutely.
The charm was there, the attention to detail, the usual Naughty Dog traits. Gameplay probably worst in series for me.
Ooh, okay. So for the most part, we agree. It's just on some of the negatives we don't. I'll give you that 2 is definitely the most consistent of the trilogy.
Specifically, I think the majority of the puzzles weren't great. They were easy to solve, either too easy to solve, or like to the point where you just had to open up the journal and quickly Granted, that's what it's always been, but
yeah, I was gonna say that seems like
that's kind of the issue. Like the platforming at a certain point, I was just snoozing. I've done this so many times in so many games. So much. There'd just be like a 20-minute section where you're just running around and like taking in the vistas and stuff. And like there'd be like, don't get me wrong, the character chatter. There'd be like early on I was feeling it, but the more and more it went on, the more and more the next combat encounter came up, and it was just here's 10 dudes. This is just an arena, kill them all, and we'll move forward. It's like nothing, no gameplay in hand. Like, where's the mission? This is post-Destiny we're talking here. There's no encounter design at all. It's just, we're going to give you an excuse to play this game to get to the next cutscene. Like, I was playing it on hard, and it wasn't worth it. I beat all the Uncharted 1, 2, and 3. I beat Uncharted 1 and 2 completely. I got every trophy in the game. I don't know if you've played those games on Crushing, but they're not exactly well designed. They're infuriating and frustrating, but I loved the world and the game and the shooting so much. Uncharted 4, I uninstalled it. I'm probably done. There's just no reason to play it. Like, I loved a lot of the other stuff about it, but like characters, and like I said, there are sections of gameplay that are really good. I think anytime you're in the vehicle is fantastic.
Yep. I also think that there's a specific...
their big thing other than the hook.
Yeah, well, the hook was great.
For all their laboring about the hook, I honestly felt from a gameplay perspective,
right? You got to move on though, dude. Like, not in topic,
sorry,
but like you've been standing in a room for 10 minutes.
I know. We do this. But yeah, from a gameplay perspective, I didn't feel like the hook was that well utilized.
I think it was used really well.
I thought it was used more in platforming sections than in sections where you would like mix and match it with combat. I felt like there was a couple of set piece moments where it was like the encounter was designed with, hey, hook here, and you could do like a cool swing and attack. But like, I didn't feel like there was enough variety with it. Like, I didn't feel like there was enough moments to use it in combat.
Okay. See, I found that it handled the best of the four, and I think we can make the agreement.
It did. The shooting felt good control-wise, but I mean, Uncharted has always had this problem of, as good as the shooting can feel, like even in the obviously the older ones, it's worse.
Well, yeah, but what you expect. I should mention the old ones. I didn't play the originals. I played the Nathan Drake collection like shortly before playing that one, and like while they had the update, like obviously it was still, there were parts of it that were pretty janky because it was like, oh, this is a 10-year-old game, like you expect that, right? But
yeah, it's the issue, and they've
Blood
always had
Vials,
this
damn.
issue though, is that the character animations when you shoot an enemy and how they react and the physics around that has always been wonky. In every single Uncharted game, there are instances where it's like, I got a headshot on someone, and the way the enemy moves after you shoot them, whether you get a headshot or sometimes even when you just miss, it's just like, that's not. It's just like, really, you know what I mean? It's really.
I found that one was the best of the four for that, though.
It did, but it still had a moment, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it still has, like, those are just things that you don't get from a real shooter. You know what I mean? Like, you'll never encounter that in Call of Duty. Never.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
once.
Right,
like,
but in Call of Duty, the turn is, what do you get instead? You get fucking stuck on a wall.
Yeah.
You ever had that happen in an Uncharted game?
Yes. Or even
because I remember, or Destiny. I remember a couple of like, the fuck is this bullshit? Why can't I just Nathan Drake this? And I think exactly the same thing you made.
Enemies in those games, it feels a little better. Like, just based on
in a good shooter, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Right. Well, it's clear where they put the development time into those games, right? Yeah. I don't think we're ready yet, but unless you think your 18 blood vials makes you and 16 bullets is good to go.
But I thought the cooler moments, the vehicle was smart because it was like, hey, you can use the vehicle for some smart, clever little puzzles as well. Like, use the winch, and the way you use the winch was really realistic and fun. Like, you would actually physically wrap it around a tree. Like, I like some of that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That stuff was really well. I think that, like, for the most part, we're gonna, like, I don't think we're gonna disagree, or we only disagree on a couple small things here, and I don't think we're really gonna.
Yes. Okay.
I can't tell you that that was well done. Yeah. I don't think it's like a thing that like neither of us is gonna be like objectively right or wrong in his opinions. I thought that it was like it handled and was
that's not good.
the most fun of the four games, but I can't tell you that.
I can't. I'm stuck. I can't do nothing. See.
Okay. It's okay though. See, you know what we
do anything.
You know what we did gain there?
I don't understand how I aggroed the first one away, and then I went back further and further and further and further, and then somehow that activated the second one. That doesn't make sense.
It's because it was missing its mate, Ryan. It was love struck.
We were talking about jank earlier in Uncharted 4. I think there's some AI behavior jank that happens sometimes with games like this.
No, man. This is a fucking. This is a fluid masterpiece, and if you say anything else, I'm going to be offended.
I mean, he doesn't kite this far. The big guy was a perfect example of that, in my opinion. But hey, because like you could run that 9 times now, and he wouldn't maybe not kite it all the way to the graveyard. It's
So I want to ask a little bit, and just because it's the thing that I really enjoyed at the time, but I remember the least, obviously, right? Having been like a year or whatever removed from that game, is how did you feel about the story?
strong, but lacked the. I liked how personal it was, and I understand a lot of people also liked how personal it was.
Yeah, I think it was the most well written. I think that story actually used to be a bit of an issue with those games. Like it very much
that
seemed.
was like the strong point.
No, I. So let me explain. It felt more like they were designing set pieces and they were they were picking cool locations and then they were building a story around it rather than writing a story around their characters, right? Like the early parts of those games, the relationship between like Drake and Elena kind of felt a little bit like poorly written, where it was like, oh, they like, oh, well, you know, like the first one obviously it's fine because it's two characters meeting for the first time. They, you know, betrayal back and forth. She falls for his roguish charm, and the second one it's like, yeah, they don't get along anymore because turns out that Drake's kind of a dick when he's not saving the world. And then the third one it's like, okay, well they got back together, but now they're like, she's like still wearing a wedding ring, and they alluded that they got married, but things haven't worked out. And then you catch on towards the end. Like it felt like they did really good things, but it was like those were kind of supplemented by some of the weaker things where it's like, okay, like you made a really good
keep in mind that like
reunion
the
story, but why
building was the focus of the first three. Like, hey, we're gonna show you the budding relationships between these people. It was the side focus,
right? But it felt like there were some big gaps.
We put the focus on, hey, there's a bunch of crazy narrative shit happening, and like as much as I agree that there was a way more,
there were parts of it that didn't seem earned.
The overall narrative, there were moments where I was a little bored. I was like, this mystery isn't especially when you,
disagree completely.
I got that Sam's attachment to it was family related, like personable, like attachment to the Avery pirate treasure stuff, and I obviously got the big narrative full circle thing at the end when Nadine left the two of them in there or the three of them in there, and it was like, hey, the last two pirates that were in here, were so greedy that they eventually killed each other. Like that's the whole story. But there was a sense of mystery to one, 2, and 3 less so. But 3 had those really trippy fucking drug levels where you were like, you know what I mean? Where it was like everything was all in another dimension. Like there was thriller stuff going on, and like there was more Indiana Jones in 1, 2, and 3 than 4.
Oh,
and
that's
what
for
bugged
sure.
me about 4 because
the
Indiana
Jones-ness
makes me on the edge of my. I'm curious what's going to happen next. Whereas in Uncharted 4, I was more like, I really like these. Like I felt like I was watching a TV show. I was like, I really like these characters. I want to see where they go. But then when the gameplay was holding up less so over time, I was just like, man, maybe should have this just been a TV show? Like, come on, let's get go. It was long too.
It was long, but I felt like it was paced slowly, but they did it really well, right? Like so. Obviously, the beginning of that game was incredibly slow, right? Like you spend a bunch of time where Drake's like, I'm done with adventuring. He's like, you see his relationship with Elena, and it's like, no, like these guys actually got it right this time. Because before it felt like those guys were together because of the circumstances they were in, right? Whereas that's a couple that doesn't happen in the real world.
I don't really think that's a fair statement. Like these guys got it right this time. Like
these guys isn't this couple. Yeah, I'm absolutely making an assumption here.
Elena and Drake were not an established couple in 1. They met
not in 1.
No,
as in the trilogy.
They weren't even an established long-term couple in 2. They were like on and off again, and then she was like almost going to leave him at the end.
Yeah, and then they got married and divorced between 2 and 3.
We don't even know if they had lived together for years or anything like that. Like you could sit there and say, oh, they got it better. They got it better because they examined the relationship years in while they're married. They got it better because they're way further in their relationship.
So
again,
a little
that's
bit.
not the focus of 1, 2, and 3. Their relation is just building in 1, 2, and 3.
Hang on,
the
Ryan.
focus is this is the crazy adventure.
Ryan. So there were certain things that were made pretty obvious. I don't remember if they said them explicitly, but they were pretty obvious if I remember. But I believe they actually did. Certain things were said pretty explicitly. Is that the times when they found each other charming were when they were adventuring, and when they weren't, they did not get along. Drake is a character who's kind of a dick, which is charming when he's saving you from danger, and it's kind of really annoying when you're in the real world and you're ordering at a restaurant and Drake's just like taking a jab at the waiter.
Like the relationship was never presented where that was always the case. Back in the Uncharted 1 days, the relationship was presented as Elena barely sees Drake because he's always out with Sully on an adventure, always. Yeah. That's and even in
And
Uncharted
actually,
2,
he like
hooking
abandoned
up
her.
with other girls. He don't give a shit. And like I agree with you. He's presented as an asshole, but like they weren't even married. That wasn't it wasn't presented like
Okay,
the
so
reason that
let me
Drake's
explain,
and their
Ryan.
relationship seems so stronger is because it was. He quit for her in Uncharted 4. Like
Yes.
I don't think
So
that's
let me-
the writers going, "Hey, we're like I think that's insulting to
Well, I
the
wasn't saying
original
the
writers of
no.
Uncharted is
I
what
wasn't
I'm
saying the writers got it right. I was saying that Drake and Elena, the characters, got it right with the relationship.
Okay, sorry. I thought you were saying like the creators finally got this relationship right.
No,
like,
no. I thought that
I felt like it. Sorry, I thought. See, we're misunderstanding. It's just a
Yeah.
misunderstanding. I was saying I think it earned what it got
Yeah. No,
to
I
Uncharted
agree.
4.
But there were certain parts that I felt were a little bit unearned in the original trilogy, right? Like the redemption storyline for the two of them getting back together at the end of 3 was really nice. But I thought it was real weird that we went to like, they got married and divorced between 2 and 3 because they weren't married at the end of 2, and then it's just like, you're still wearing the ring, and she's like, yeah, it helps in this part of the world,
at
right?
the same time,
it's like,
I
that felt a
get
little bit unearned.
Like that's again, Uncharted. All of its roots are in Indiana Jones, right? And you're just like, that's something Indy would do. He was also kind of an asshole. He had lots of women. Like there's a bondness to that. You know what I mean?
But yeah,
like,
to get back to my original point though, like it feels like Drake and Elena finally got the relationship right. Drake has like grown a little bit as a person. He's not as much of an asshole anymore, and he is, while he clearly misses the adventuring, like the scene that you see where he's like in the attic and he's like playing with like the dart guns or whatever. Like I think they use it as a tutorial, but it's like he clearly misses the adventuring, but he has the opportunity to go for that thing, and he turns it down because he'd rather have his relationship. And they show you that he genuinely means it, and then the conflict that comes when he goes back out and lies to Elena again, like you can see that there's a conflict with Drake, right? Because he doesn't want to do it, but he's like, this is my brother, I thought he was dead, like I have to do this.
Oh yeah,
like his loyalty to Sam
the story
is
goes
too
to
strong.
explore the past of the characters and like explain, hey, his name isn't actually Nathan Drake. Like that's not really their names. That's made up. Right?
Yeah, that was pretty weird.
Like they just that I started to feel like that became pretty obvious early on in
you've capped out on Blood Vials, my dude.
Yeah, I have.
He wasn't actually related to
feel
Francis
that
Drake?
early on. Like I think it was like middle of 2 I started to wonder because I felt like they were trying to present him as like, this is a guy who left his entire life to be motherfucking Indiana Jones, like, and like not even he's a little more extreme than Indy too. Let's be real. Like, you and I were talking about this like when he was telling the stories to his daughter. I'm like, he hasn't covered the part where he's like put like 300 fucking people into the ground. Like,
yeah, but because if I remember correctly, he just started telling that story from the start of it, and then they cut it out, right?
I'm
He's
not
like,
saying that they like intentionally emoted, like left it out. I'm just saying that like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, like he's not a good guy. That's never been
it wasn't like he was killing innocent bystanders. Like he was. I think that he's a morally neutral character, to be honest. I don't think he's a bad guy. Like I think I agree that he's not a good guy, but I don't think that makes him a bad guy.
If it was a movie, maybe I'd give you that. But because it's a video game, there's an unrealistic amount of bodies put in the ground for the purposes of we need to put bodies in encounters.
But why are those bodies put in the ground, Ryan?
Would go, dude. Like there are situations where you're just like, dude, no.
Wait, why are those bodies put in the ground, though, Ryan?
None of it's realistic because Nathan Drake and friends survive on armies of people.
Yeah, it's like 3 dudes. Yeah, no, obviously.
That's not how it works. So it's just like I magnum shot at 8 people and was snipered with my revolver from long range.
While I'm wearing my Hawaiian shirt, smoking a cigar, and Bruce Campbelling it up.
I might as well used to be Black Ops. That's how good I am, even though all I am is a treasure hunter who smokes a lot of cigars.
Right, but I don't think that makes him a morally unrighteous character, right? He's killing people who are trying to kill him. So like, yeah, you can make the argument he's selfish, but when the chips are down, he does he does the right thing.
There's no way that Drake could tell people in pub. There's no way that you wouldn't be able to go sit at a dinner and be like, hey man, this is what I did today. Everyone would be like, what? How many people did you kill? Oh yeah, we were at a cliff and like 25 guys came up and we just literally murdered all of them, and then we stole their truck and ran and blew up in an explosion, and then I killed another 30 guys. No.
Yes, because if you tell that story, you're an asshole. But if they're like, if somebody asks you the question, it's a little bit different. If someone asks you the question, if you go up and
most
talk
would
about
say,
it,
what are you doing? Stop and call the authorities because people shouldn't be getting murdered over this bullshit. Because
but when someone has gun point? Yeah, I mean, sure.
Dude,
in
people
certain
don't
cases.
even want to go to war for reasons that sometimes are half good. What do you think they're going to give a shit? The people would take remember, Indy was always the bad guy too because he wouldn't give shit to the museum. Like, people take a very staunch.
Wait, wasn't he all? It
Everyone
belongs in the
deserves
museum.
to know about this approach. People take that approach, not just you. Like, you can't just take lives and search for lost treasures and find zombie people and keep all that to yourself. Like, people would be insulted by that. Like
Yeah, I mean, he was
selfish, but it's at a certain point, and obviously we observe Drake's life from a distance. Drake isn't just a thrill seeker. He's a
criminal.
He's a murdering thrill. He likes to kill people. He clearly, way too often he does it. They joke about times where, oh man, I really shot that guy in the head. It was a good thing. I was almost about to die from that rock. No. Human beings don't do that in the real world.
Well, if you're gonna die, otherwise, yes.
The storyline that Drake had a hard time living in real world society and it affected the relationship, because of course he did. He's not a real world person.
But
he's a fucking
would you
crazy
say
person
that he was
half James Bond, half Indiana Jones?
Would you call him a morally righteous character in 4? Because he's not doing it for selfish reasons anymore.
I think that he's morally righteous in the way that the same was like Indy and Bond are, like in a roguish way. Like,
no, I mean, rogue is the word.
In a way where, faced with real society, he's still a villain. But in the world of villains, he's the good guy.
Wait, do you not think he can get off for the murders of those people in 4, specifically in 4?
He goes for a normal life in the real world, but I'm not talking about I'm not talking about legally getting off those murders. Like, I think you're focusing too much on
until this moment.
So does he have to pay for the punishment for? It's not about that.
No,
it's about
I didn't think that until this
big picture
last statement you made.
Of he commits enough acts in a row, enough bad decisions in a row where it's clearly not even a consideration that he's making bad decisions in his mind. He doesn't know the difference. Like, to him, and same with Sam, they're so attached to this history buff, we need to discover things ourselves, this ego, especially Sam and Rafe, obviously his character is definitely attached to that they just don't give a shit. They don't give a shit if anyone gets in their way. That getting in, like you're saying, they're doing this to all these bad people. Well, they're just doing this to people who are in their way, realistically. That's all that it is. The actual reason for it is.
Right, but those people are trying to kill them.
But they were still in their way and trying to prevent them, they would do horrible shit to them as well, because it's about getting to their destination.
Because they never do that. We can't be certain of that.
They did in previous games, right? Wait,
when did they ever start the violence? I'm pretty sure that it was it was usually Drake had double-crossed the other guy in a non-violent way, right? And then that person wants revenge, so Drake has to defend himself.
There were situations where, granted, Drake's being held hostage, but there are non.
Oh well, that's a totally different situation when you're being held hostage. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but can you think of a single one? Because I can't.
A totally different situation, especially when
you're being held hostage. Absolutely. The fuck?
Yeah, but there are situations where Drake's being held hostage by local authorities who are just doing their job, and he fights them and gets out of Drake's not.
Yeah, but he doesn't kill those people.
Man.
Sure.
No, there's people he kills he kills innocents.
I can't think of a single example though.
We don't know that every single soldier he shoots has also shot a person or a person he's killed, because he doesn't. In Uncharted 4 he fights a militia, but it's not always a militia. There are pirates. There are lots of I don't know.
It's about people with murderous intent. Yes, that means you can defend yourself 100%. What? If people are shooting at you and you're behind a barricade and you have a gun, are you gonna be like, I need to think about what their intentions here are? No, you're gonna fucking shoot back.
I think you have the wrong idea. I think you're thinking I'm saying you shouldn't fire back. You're not right to fire back. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying society doesn't think it's right.
Oh, fucking.
They don't.
I mean, that doesn't have anything to do with whether or not it's morally righteous.
You're going to get judged for that. That's not considered.
Sure, but what the layman thinks is okay. So if 100 people tell me that, what society thinks doesn't necessarily mean if they're correct or not.
I think it's right or wrong, and that's
not. No, I'm focusing on whether or not it is objectively morally righteous or not. Whether 100 people tell me it is or not doesn't mean.
So there is no objectively right or wrong.
Yeah, if you can make the case for it, sure. But like, I think that
Anyway.
this is what society thinks is a really bad argument, because there's a lot of people who think that God is real, and I don't believe in that either.
I'm saying that I was saying that that's why it works. That Drake's character has a hard time connecting to normal society because his
I mean, that's just good storytelling.
That's what I'm talking about in those situations.
I agree with that completely.
People would leave the moment pirates are shooting at you. You don't fire back. You escape. You call the authorities and you run away. And granted, I felt like they started doing some of that in 4.
And it also felt like they didn't have the choice, right?
All the other games, they actually do some of that too. What am I talking about?
A little bit, and Drake is...
There's a moment in every story where Drake goes, should we leave? Like, this is probably bad news, right?
Yeah, but usually it's like...
he goes, he goes like, fuck it, I'm going to go put another 50 people into the ground.
No, well, in a lot of cases, there's not a lot of options there.
I'm just gonna I basically just think that part of the issue with taking that's part of my issue with. I think I know what I'm just trying to say here. I'm just climbing the ladder. I was just getting my bearings here, mentally.
Yeah, sure.
I like.
Yeah, watch out for the big pig, by the way.
Yeah, he's not here yet.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
The thing. Yeah.
Okay.
I really like the way that, for example, the Marvel Universe does its stuff, because generally the heart of its tone is goofy, and the reason for that is because it's dealing with things, larger than life things, that create situations that you have to skirt a very fine line when you're trying to tell a serious story. There were parts of Uncharted 4 that effectively told a really good story, but one of the reasons I liked those earlier games is because they were dealing with things that were larger than life, and they were more goofy because
treasure
of that.
And random zombies and shit. Yeah,
exactly. Like, there's just out of this world things. And it's a video game. Like, they dealt with the fact that, you know what I mean? Like it's always been kind of silly because Drake puts so many people into the ground. Like, it's not just the amount of people he puts in the things that he survives, the one-man army type of shit that happens.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's
at the end of a game when you just even at the end of Uncharted 4, there are hundreds of dead armed militia on that island. So we're just supposed to believe that we live in a world of Google satellite. Everyone went out there with phone. There is no way someone who's a larger, you know what I mean? None of this is realistic. It would the world at large would eventually figure out what's happening, and Nathan Drake would probably be in a federal fucking prison. Let's get real. That's
well,
what
no,
really
I mean, I would make the argument against it in 4 specifically. The first 3, yeah, probably, because he's greedy and going for treasure.
Figure out that he was involved in shit, and then be like, oh shit, there are enough pictures and evidence. Drake takes enough fucking pictures. Jesus Christ, his own daughter finds evidence at the end of the fucking game.
Yeah, well, because he keeps everything documented.
Don't get me wrong, that's all touching. All that stuff worked really well from a character perspective. I'm not disputing any of that. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, I mean,
it's never been the most realistic of games. So for it to be all
but I
about
think
the serious thing,
4 was the most.
I don't know.
Well, 4 had a tonal shift from the rest of the series. I think you can absolutely do that in a series.
Of course, I never said you couldn't do it. I just missed some of the other. I like some of the other stuff was more used in throwback capacity.
Yeah.
And those
Sorry,
were some
let me
of my
clarify.
favorite parts of the series.
I think that you can do it, and it worked really well. It was a net positive for the game.
I think the thing is that I think that of course it was a net positive, because I think if it was just the other games, we've already had that 3 times. So
yeah, so they did a different thing, and I think it was better.
That's all they could do, but I'm just saying for that reason, that's why it's a divided experience, because they had to cut out some of the core of what I liked the most about that franchise to make a new game. They just had to. And I hope that if they continue the franchise, that you play the daughter, and they can get back to some of the mystical. Let's put her on her first adventure to deal with.
Well, aren't they doing some side thing with Chloe?
Well, yeah,
and
they've done some side thing where you play
Nadine.
I'm not as interested in that, although Abby said it's her favorite in the series.
Yeah, is that already out?
I think she said it's her favorite in the series because it is a little more mystical. It's a little less character and a little more, it's basically Nadine and the chick from Uncharted 2. Chloe. And they're basically females. They're female Nathan Drake to a degree. They're living on the edge of the world, seeing the shit that you don't even know.
Well, Nadine always kind of felt like that, though, right?
A situation where, kind of more, oh look, I actually did discover an ancient island that never existed that has a clan of people. Tomb Raider would be a good way to explain that.
Yeah.
That to me, that just feels like them still making Tomb Raider games because they're also making Tomb Raider games. Anyway,
I feel like Nadine was already kind of felt like female Nathan Drake. Like it felt very much like those two were very similar
Rachel
characters.
For sure. I mean, or Chloe,
who had
for sure.
Yeah, did you say Rachel?
Yeah, Suits.
Okay, sorry. For a second, I thought you said
sure,
Rachel,
and
I was like, whoa. Yeah.
Where's Rachel? But yeah, Chloe, who's basically doing what Elena normally does, but like does that all the time. Like Uncharted 2 especially, like that's my favorite. Uncharted 2 really started to show the deeper, darker, oh man, these guys are like, it's the dark middle chat, but the darker elements to not only Drake's character, but like, oh yeah, they really are in the underworld. Like, holy shit, yeah.
Yeah, and they Tarantino'd the fuck out of it too, right?
Yeah,
like, they open with the train, and then you go back a few times.
He hangs out with a chick who not only is a murderer, she's like, I'm okay being a murderer. Like, you do what you got to do to survive in this dark fucking world. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? It's all about the money, the lifestyle, the fucking. You know what I mean? I'm a boss. Like.
Yeah.
Like there are people who are clearly into the I want to be a big name pirate type of person, and like that's cool. It's cool that they lean into those aspects, but like, that's obviously not going to be the majority of people in society. And
well, no. Yeah. How did you feel about Sam as a character?
Fine.
Just fine.
Like he's not going to be my favorite Uncharted character by any means, but I mean that's going to be an impossible bar for him to reach. You're
more of a Drake and Sully kind of guy, I'm assuming.
No, it's not a Sully all the way. Sully 100% of the way. Are you kidding me? Sully's the best character in that whole series.
Sully's pretty great.
Followed closely by Elena and then Drake at a third. So.
Okay, I didn't know if you'd pick up on Elena as much. I don't even know necessarily about like.
Dude, we were just covering how much Drake is the typical asshole. Like they take the character interesting directions in number 4, and a little bit in number 3 when they start exploring his past. But like, I was okay with Drake just being a stereotypical character in 1 and 2 because, like I said, then the focus was on the narrative itself, not Drake as a person. It was like, you're doing some mystical shit. It's fun. Okay.
Yeah. I think that the relationship between Nathan and Sam is probably the most interesting relationship in that series, though.
The relationship between Nathan and Sam and Nathan and Sam and Elena and Nathan in that game particularly.
That one's a very strong number 2 for me.
I think as a whole, if you look at Sully and Nathan's relationship from every game to the end, that's got to be the best narrative arc to relationship. But I mean, like that's saying they completely resolved most of Nathan's story by the end of 4, right? Like, hey, look, not only does he get married and have a kid, we're going to show you that kid when she's like 11. Like, ba-ding, like that's basically them saying we're not going to do another game with Nathan. We get it. Like, it's over. Like, here's what happens to Nathan. Like, he might be in another game when if we do a sequel that has his daughter as the focus.
Yeah,
I think that's what they.
He's gonna be like old man Sully. Yeah, and he's like the Sully role, where he just like shows up occasionally, shoots things, and
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Sully needs to be. Let's be real. A character needs to die. How many of us went into a Thief's End going, someone's gonna fucking die? I know that was me.
Were you disappointed that nobody died?
A little bit. I'm not gonna lie, I was. For a weird reason too. Not because I got all hyped. Like, obviously it was called A Thief's End, but because a lot of the early narrative was leading into like they focused a lot on, Elena going, this is the reason we can't do this anymore. Like, oh my god, like second guessing, and then she was kind of getting back into the adventure. But then when they got split up again and he had to go back to find Sam by himself, there was like a clear moment where she was like, oh my god, is he gonna come? Oh my god. And I'm just like, okay, like that's where
how many times can we
I was committed. Death? I'm like, okay, they're gonna die. And then when I saw the thing on Sam, I was half convinced that he was already dead. And then sorry, I'm gonna kill these enemies up here.
That's okay.
And then when they were swimming away, I kind of was like, one person is gonna make it. I wasn't big on the end boss fight either. It was okay.
Oh, is this one? I'm trying to remember. Is this one with like quick time events with sword fights? Yeah. I found that it was a little bit more difficult than it needed. Like, in terms of like, okay, like this is a fun idea, but like, I don't want to spend an hour on this. And I had some difficulty with it, if I remember.
One of the most interesting things about the thing didn't get lit.
See you, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Nice escape, Ryan.
Later.
You'll always remember this is the day you almost caught Captain Jack Sparrow.
Yeah. So one of the things that I don't know if you've ever played The Order, One of the things that it got
I didn't.
maligned for, but one of the things that it did effectively, in my earnest opinion, so it also did the QuickTime event boss battle thing, where it was like, you know, like it's less a QuickTime event and more like a Heavy Rain version of a QuickTime event, because it gives you the button prompts and then gets rid of them, and it's just like, hey, one button is to counter with this hand, one button is to counter with that hand. So it's like the loose approximation of a fight in a fighting game. You know what I mean? Like it's like a two-button fight, but it's like there's clearly it's so animation based and slow that it's like there are moments where you have to do things. Oh, come on. I dodged, but I was in the middle of animation, so I couldn't do anything.
Good dodge on that one. Oh, not that it mattered this at all this time, but the you haven't been making use of blood bullets.
It's true.
Yeah,
so
I've
stocked some blood vials, by the way. I've used a few, but I've stocked some as well.
Yeah. We started with 13, but you also gotten like 7 extra bullets out of it too.
So we've done a lot of grinding here.
Yeah.
Where
do you have enough to
have my souls? You remember? Oh yeah.
You were on the bridge with the werewolves or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, I was on the bridge with the werewolves. Fuck.
Yeah, there was only like 500 souls though. Like you didn't have that much.
I can go get them. Why not?
I mean, you can. I'm just saying, like, if you're concerned about risking it.
Anyway, the QuickTime events that they did in the Order game. The one of the reasons that I was less like, these are so bad. So they had you fight werewolves in that game, but they do a QuickTime event for whenever you fight a werewolves or whenever you fight a group of werewolves. But they do it enough times where the first version of it, you have that frustrating, when you fail, it's just a fail state out. But that's to teach you how to do it. And then as you get better at it throughout the game, near later in the game, you can effectively do it. So there was like a narrative twist to that where it's like, this is the first time they're fighting werewolves, so you got to learn the pattern. What fucked me with that in the Uncharted, that's the only sword fight in the game.
Yeah, I know.
If they were to do that several times throughout the game, so then you felt good at doing it by the time you got to, and I felt like that's a perfect example where I felt like that's a lacked opportunity. I'm just like, this is a game that is hurting for new gameplay elements because it's so tired. Like
you have like
you
have the first one be when they're kids.
Anyway, Jesus Christ, this is a pirate game. Give me lots of sword fight. Let's do it. Make a whole fencing mini game for fuck's sake. Let's go. You know what I mean?
And you have the first time be when Drake and Sam are in the orphanage.
We'll just focus on the story instead. And I'm just like, that's fine, but like there were gameplay moments, like there were missed opportunities there, in my opinion.
You definitely do the first one like when they're in the orphanage and it's like Sam and Nathan, and then you probably do. I'm not trying to operate the PS4 with voice. Fuck off. You do like another one in the prison maybe, and then, like a couple more during the regular campaign too. But you kind of like show the progression of it.
Yeah. My souls.
Nice. Yeah, 555 souls.
We can probably go back here soon and do some leveling.
Yeah.
And,
just let's learn the lesson we learned last time. Don't fly too close to the sun. Just make sure you don't die. That was a good dodge though. That crow is giving you some... Oh, you actually got the crow at the same... Okay. I didn't think you'd killed the crow, so... Nice. Yeah, it turns out having damage on your cane, that's pretty handy, isn't it?
Yeah, when I can kill the crows in one hit, it's a lot easier to micromanage them. Okay. Yeah, we can probably take a breather and go to the thing. I kind of want to kill these dudes, though, but man, I'll just lose all my souls, so...
Yeah. Do you think you have enough to buy enough of the things to make a proper run?
Potentially. Okay. We could probably head to the Cleric Beast. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
mean.
Some
Molotovs and.
That's what I mean.
Do we have any earned, or what are they called? No, we don't. We don't have anything.
No, the oil.
Do we have? Yeah. That's insight. I was thinking, do we have any blood echo things? But we don't even have those.
No, you used those. I'm pretty sure to do the upgrade maybe in the footage that we lost.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll head back and we'll buy some stuff and then we'll call it an episode because we are past where we normally would be. But obviously, I wasn't going to stop us partway through a grinding session.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, and, I think some interesting Uncharted 4 talk there. I'm just going to quickly kill some of these easy dudes just to make sure that we have.
How did you think Troy Baker did?
I definitely think it's my second favorite in the series. I just think Uncharted 2 is a classic. Uncharted 2 is the Back to the Future of the fucking Uncharted games.
We completely agree, except in the order of 2 and 4.
It knows exactly what it wants to be, and it does it. Uncharted 4 was the best way and the only way to make an effective Uncharted sequel that still involved Nathan Drake, and I applaud them for how hard that must have been to do and how effective they did it.
I think they nailed it, to be honest.
Sure, they nailed it, but what they nailed is still like, to me, what they nailed is still not as like it's again, like I said, it's not as like Back to the Future 2 probably does a lot more stuff than Back to the Future 1, but Back to the Future 1's a classic. It just, you know what I mean? Like, I kind of feel the same about Uncharted. Uncharted 2 is like the one really good Indiana Jones movie. I put them like the same. Like, I don't know. They're so good. Anyway,
Share play stops in 5 minutes.
So,
yeah, because we talked for a little bit before. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like to me, they're hard comparisons because what Uncharted 2 does really well and what Uncharted 4 does really well are different.
Yeah, I agree. I think that 2 was the best of the trilogy, by the way. I think that 4 was. I think that 2 was the best of the trilogy. I just thought that, like, we agree. I think 4 is the best and 2 is the second best, whereas you have those flips. I don't know if I like 3 or 1 better for like third
and
place.
I mean, like, to me, I don't think it's even debatable to say that 2 has the best set pieces of the series still to this day.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. 100%, I agree with that.
Like you were talking before about how it's just a set piece.
Well, no, I didn't say it was.
Pieces.
Yes, it is.
And granted, there is a little bit of character work in there. Like, that's kind of what was surprising about it. It's like, oh, these thieves are actually pretty. There's actually stuff going on here. These are people. And they took the Sully stuff in a really good direction. But like the set pieces were like the train sequence, probably one of the best. Like, that's probably the best.
Oh yeah, love
Uncharted. All of the Uncharted games, in my opinion, that's still the best gameplay sequence. If I were to rank the gameplay sequences in the Uncharted games, I would say the train sequence in Uncharted 2, followed by the Sahara sequence in the vehicle in Uncharted 4.
How'd you feel the prison sequence?
Like,
really? Oh, I love the prison sequence.
Like, do you mean the platforming, or do you mean just like running around in the prison?
The whole thing.
There was no gameplay there. Like,
yeah, there was.
There was no puzzles. It was just running and jumping. Like, you really impressed by running and jumping in Uncharted still?
No, didn't they? They had a. Well,
no,
first
you
of all,
there was a an artifact or something, and then you run back. No, the prison guard takes you away. Oh no, there's like a prison fight you have to get into or something. Yeah.
Yeah, there was more there.
That was some Heavy Rain stuff. Like, you run to a place and hit the interactive button.
Yeah, we got 3 minutes, Ryan, so fucking make your purchases.
Anyway,
don't flip through a menu
we'll
for
make
2
the
minutes.
purchases at the start of the next episode.
Oh, okay, we can do that.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
The next episode, we will have the purchases, and we might be making a Cleric Beast run.
Uncharted Maybe we'll even win it.
Pretty good game.
Yep.
Definitely a pretty good game.
5 stars. See you guys next time.
Yeah, I might even say it's 5 stars.
Yep.